Quote Retreat by Sandor. One quote, one reflection, one thought that could bring a moment of light and energy to your day. Join me as we take a look at today's quote. The quote is by Camilla Eyring Kimball. Born 1894, died 1954. It reads, "You do not find a happy life, you make it." Let's take a moment together to explore the messages within this quote. Here's something that challenges everything we assume about happiness. What if I told you that happiness isn't something we find, but something we actively create? This idea comes from a remarkable woman who lived over a century ago, and it's more relevant now than ever.
That's such an intriguing perspective. What's the story behind this idea?
Well, it comes from Camilla Eyring Kimball, who lived from 1894 to 1954, and she said something profound. You do not find a happy life, you make it. What's fascinating is that she wasn't just throwing around feel-good quotes. She was actively working to create positive change during some of America's most challenging times.
That's particularly striking considering she lived through both world wars and the Great Depression. How did she put this philosophy into practice?
That's exactly what makes her story so compelling. While she was known as the wife of LDS Church President Spencer W. Kimball, she carved out her powerful legacy. She was a fierce advocate for women's education and rights, at a time when such advocacy could be really controversial.
So she was walking the talk about making happiness, rather than finding it.
Oh my goodness, yes! And you know what's fascinating? Her approach to happiness wasn't just about personal contentment. She understood that a happy life often meant creating conditions for others to thrive too. She was particularly focused on expanding educational opportunities for women.
That's making me think about how different this is from our modern approach to happiness. How do you think her message translates to today's world?
Well, it's revolutionary when you consider how our current culture approaches happiness. We're constantly bombarded with messages suggesting happiness comes from the perfect Instagram filter or the latest self-help trend. But Kimball's message suggests something much more active and engaged.
That's interesting. Could you elaborate on what that active approach looks like?
Think of it like building a house rather than finding one. It's about taking consistent, intentional actions, developing meaningful relationships, contributing to our communities, working toward goals that matter. And just like building a house, it requires planning, effort, and sometimes dealing with unexpected challenges.
That's such a powerful metaphor. How does this relate to people facing serious hardships or systemic obstacles?
That's where Kimball's message becomes even more relevant. She understood that making happiness isn't just about individual positive thinking, it's also about addressing systemic barriers. Sometimes, making a happy life means fighting for change at a broader level, just as she did with women's rights.
That's bringing up thoughts about how this connects to modern social movements and activism.
Exactly. And here's what's powerful. Kimball's message suggests that working for social change isn't separate from personal happiness. They're deeply interconnected. When we work to improve conditions for others, we're also creating a foundation for our well-being.
That's shifting how we think about happiness from being a private pursuit to something more collective.
And that's precisely why this message feels so relevant for our current moment. We're facing huge challenges: climate change, social inequality, political division, and it would be easy to feel powerless. But her message reminds us that we always have some capacity to act, to create, to make things better.
So how do we put this into practice in our daily lives?
Well, it starts with recognizing that every day presents opportunities to make happiness through our choices, our attitudes, our actions. It might be as simple as reaching out to someone who needs support, learning something new, or taking a small step toward a meaningful goal. The key is being proactive rather than passive.
That's bringing together both the personal and collective aspects of happiness creation.
Yes, and I think that's the real genius of her message. It's not just about individual happiness in isolation. It's about creating happiness in a way that contributes to the greater good. When we make our happiness, we're also creating ripples that affect others.
This has been an interesting discussion. What's the key takeaway we can remember?
I think it's that happiness isn't something that happens to us. It's something we actively create, both for ourselves and for others. It's about recognizing our power to shape our lives and our world, even in small ways. And perhaps most importantly, it's about understanding that true happiness often comes from combining personal growth with meaningful contribution to others.
With that, we conclude this exciting episode. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd appreciate a like and a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Your support truly helps this channel grow. See you again tomorrow. Yours, Sandor.